Imagine this. You're at the airport, following the routine like clockwork. Shoes off, pockets empty, laptop in a bin. You step into the scanner, trying not to look suspicious even though you've done nothing wrong. But have you ever wondered, what's really happening behind the scenes? Why do some passengers always get pulled aside for random screening while others don't? What's with the weird scribbles TSA agents sometimes put on your boarding pass? And here's the real kicker. Some of the very people enforcing these rules, they've been caught stealing right out of passengers' bags. NBC News exposed shocking footage from Miami International Airport showing TSA officers helping themselves to cash, electronics, even jewelry. And that's just the beginning. Today, we're diving into 17 TSA secrets they don't want you to know. From little-known security loopholes to questionable policies that raise more eyebrows than confidence, what you learn today might just change the way you see airport security. And let's start with this. TSA agents actually have way less power than you think. Alright, let's get one thing straight. TSA agents might act like they run the place, but they're not cops. They don't have unlimited power, and they definitely can't do whatever they want. Sure, they can check your boarding pass, scan your bag, and send you through security with that serious, all-knowing look. But here's where things get interesting. There are limits to what they can actually make you do. For starters, they can't force you to unlock your phone or demand your laptop password. So if an agent starts poking around your personal devices, you're well within your rights to say no. And that passport in your hand? It stays with you. There's no rule that says you have to toss it in a bin like a loose set of keys. But here's the real kicker. TSA agents can't arrest you. If they think there's an issue, they have to call in airport police. They might put on their most intimidating face, but when it comes down to it, they have zero authority to slap on handcuffs. So if you ever find yourself in a standoff with an overzealous agent, stay calm and ask the golden question. Is this a requirement or just a request? You'd be surprised how often the answer changes once they know you actually understand your rights. And if they still insist, well, just give them the same patient nod you use when a flight attendant explains how a tiny seatbelt is going to save you in the event of an emergency. Let's get one thing clear. TSA agents are there to screen you, not rough you up. A pat-down isn't supposed to feel like a wrestling match, and no, they get to decide how much pressure is necessary. If you have a medical condition, sensitive areas, or chronic pain, you have every right to let them know and ask them to be careful. They're not doctors, and they don't get to ignore your discomfort. Take this story, for example. One traveler warned a female TSA agent that pressing too hard on her lower abdomen would cause severe pain. Before the agent could even respond, her male supervisor cut in with, "She will use the amount of pressure she needs to." But this passenger wasn't about to be steamrolled. She pushed back immediately. "No, she won't. She is not allowed to physically injure me." And just like that, the supervisor backed off. The female agent, now noticeably more cautious, asked if she could use light pressure, and everything went smoothly. The Los Angeles Times spotlighted a case where a traveler walked away from a screening feeling roughed up and harassed, throwing real shade on TSA's professionalism. Most agents play by the book, but when they don't, passengers eat the cost, unless you hold your ground. So, if a pat-down veers into sketchy territory, don't just suck it up, call it out. You've got more power than they'd like you to believe. If you think TSA is just scanning your bags, think again. They're not only checking what's inside your luggage, they're checking you. Ever heard of spot training? Short for screening of passengers by observation techniques. It's exactly what it sounds like. TSA agents are trained to analyze body language, searching for subtle signs of suspicious behavior. And here's where it gets interesting. What triggers their suspicion isn't exactly high-level spycraft. Break a sweat? Look a little too fidgety? Avoid eye contact for a second too long? Congratulations, you just made their watch list. Seems a little over the top, doesn't it? Let's be real, who isn't at least a little tense going through airport security? Even if you're squeaky clean, there's something about that line, the beeping machines, and the ever-present possibility of having to do the dreaded belt and shoes shuffle that gets your heart racing. So, next time you're waiting to go through stuff, just know TSA isn't only focused on your bags. they're sizing you up too. Believe it or not, looking a little too emotional at the airport could be enough to get you flagged for extra screening. One traveler found this out the hard way. She was flying out of Greece after an emotional goodbye with her partner. No alarms, no suspicious items in her bag, yet she still got pulled aside. The reason? TSA saw distress and assumed the worst. In their playbook, a solo traveler who looks visibly upset could mean human trafficking or drug smuggling. Now, to be fair, the officers followed protocol and eventually let her through. But here's the real kicker. Being anxious, teary-eyed, or just visibly on edge could be enough to make you interesting to TSA, even if you've done absolutely nothing wrong. So if you find yourself feeling emotional at the airport, maybe take a deep breath, shake it off, and save the dramatic exit for the departure gate. Unless, of course, you don't mind a little extra TSA attention. Ever handed your boarding pass to a TSA agent, only to get it back with a random scribble? Looks harmless, right? Well, most of the time, it is, just some initials, nothing to stress over. But if you spot 4 little letters, SSS, buckle up, because your journey just got an unexpected detour. That special stamp means you've been selected for extra screening. And by extra, we're talking the works. A full-body pat-down, a deep dive into your bags, and a boarding delay, while TSA gives you their undivided attention. And the best part? You won't even know you've been flagged until it's too late. 1 minute, you're strolling to your gate, boarding pass in hand. Next thing you know, you're getting pulled aside for a routine check that suddenly feels a lot less routine. So, here's a little travel pro tip. Always give your boarding pass a once-over after it's scanned. If you see those 4 letters staring back at you, just take a deep breath. Your airport adventure is about to get a little longer. TSA agents aren't exactly known for their comedic timing, especially when the joke's on them. And one traveler found that out the hard way. While waiting in line, he spotted a woman with a cat in a pet carrier. When TSA told her she had to take the cat out for screening, he couldn't resist. What are you gonna do? Give it a CAT scan. The crowd chuckled. TSA? Not so much. For the next 3 flights, he was mysteriously randomly selected for extra bag searches. Every single time. Coincidence? Maybe. But let's just say TSA wasn't exactly dying to punchline that joke. So, word to the wise, save the one-liners for after security. Unless, of course, you don't mind becoming a VIP in the special screening line. TSA might take security very seriously in person, but behind closed doors, that's another story. Back in 2019, an undercover investigation exposed a private Facebook group with 18,000 TSA members. And let's just say, it wasn't exactly full of heartwarming travel tips. Agents were caught mocking passengers, cracking racist jokes, and even making comments that crossed the line from unprofessional to downright disturbing. And here's the part that really raises eyebrows. It wasn't just a handful of bad apples. Thousands of TSA agents were in that group. Yet after the scandal broke, most of them kept their jobs like nothing ever happened. Hard to believe, but before 2013, TSA body scanners weren't just looking for weapons, they were giving agents a full, unfiltered view of every passenger. Yep, everything. Not surprisingly, once the public found out, people weren't exactly thrilled. Because, seriously, who signed off on that? After a wave of backlash, TSA had no choice but to roll out a less invasive system. Now, instead of revealing every detail, the scanners just generate a generic outline of your body. But the fact that this was ever a thing kind of makes you wonder what else has flown under the radar. Ever had something mysteriously vanish after passing through airport security? Don't expect TSA to take the blame. Their official stance? Not our problem. Laptop cracked? Suitcase busted? Headphones disappear into the void? Well, technically, you can file a claim for lost or damaged items. But don't hold your breath. The process is a bureaucratic black hole. Travelers have reported cases where claims drag on for months, only to be denied, or at best, met with an insultingly low payout. Even with solid proof, getting reimbursed feels more like winning the lottery than a standard procedure. And here's where things get even messier. TSA agents have been caught stealing. NBC News exposed security footage from Miami International Airport showing officers rifling through luggage and pocketing cash. CNN has also reported multiple cases of TSA employees getting fired for theft at major hubs like Miami, Orlando, JFK, and LAX. From missing watches to mysteriously vanished electronics, some passengers never get their valuables back. But here's the real kicker. Just because your TSA-approved lock is still intact doesn't mean your bag wasn't tampered with. If TSA searches your checked luggage, they're supposed to leave a notice inside. Yet, time and time again, travelers report missing valuables with no note in sight, which begs the question, who else is getting their hands on your stuff? So, here's the bottom line. Keep valuables in your carry-on, avoid checking anything irreplaceable, and don't expect TSA to cover your losses. And if something does go missing or gets damaged, document everything. File a claim immediately, and whatever you do, don't accept their first offer. Think your checked bag is secure once it disappears down that conveyor belt? You might want to rethink that. Every single checked bag goes through TSA screening, and if anything raises an eyebrow, they will open it. And here's where it gets tricky. They can cut locks, tear through plastic wrapping, and manually inspect about 5% of all checked luggage. But here's what should really have your attention. If TSA searches your bag, they're supposed to leave a notice inside. If your lock is busted and there's no note, that's when you start asking questions, because that likely means someone other than TSA got to your stuff. And that's not exactly reassuring. So what can you do to keep your luggage safe? First off, use a TSA-approved lock. TSA can open it without breaking it, but anyone else? Not so easy. More importantly, never pack valuables in your checked bag. Anything important should stay in your carry-on, where you can actually keep an eye on it. Here's a pro move. Snap a picture of your suitcase before checking it in. That way, if it comes back looking like it just survived a wrestling match, you've got proof. And if something does go missing or gets damaged, report it immediately. The faster you file a claim, the better your chances of getting compensated. Bottom line, it's best to assume your checked bag isn't completely safe, because let's be honest, most of the time, it isn't. Between the rush of security lines, bins flying down the conveyor belt, and a dozen hands grabbing their belongings all at once, it's surprisingly easy for things to go missing, sometimes without you even noticing until it's too late. So, how do you keep your valuables from vanishing in the chaos? Simple. Keep them packed until the last possible moment. Before you even step into line, tuck small essentials, wallet, phone, keys, inside your carry-on. The less loose stuff in the bins, the lower the chance of something getting left behind or conveniently disappearing. If you want an extra layer of protection, put pocket items in a Ziploc bag and place it inside your carry-on. That way, when it's time to retrieve everything, it's all in one spot, no frantic scrambling at the other end of security. Traveling with someone, strategic positioning is key. One person should go through first to keep an eye on the bins while the other follows. Solo travelers can reduce risk by sending less valuable items first, shoes, liquids, while keeping important stuff, like a laptop or wallet, in the last bin so it spends minimal time unattended. And here's a golden rule. If it fits in your carry-on, keep it there. Other than your laptop, nothing valuable should be riding solo in a bin. Less hassle, less risk, and a much smoother airport experience. Ever had a TSA agent give you an attitude for no reason? Maybe they treated you like a security threat just because you forgot to take your laptop out? If you're thinking about filing a complaint, well, don't expect much to come of it. Here's the reality. Once a TSA agent clears their 2-year probation, they're practically locked in. Complaints? Most vanish into a bureaucratic black hole. Bad attitude? Unless it's wildly out of line, it rarely gets addressed. And actually getting fired? That only happens if they do something seriously illegal. Now, to be fair, not all TSA agents are bad. Plenty of them are just doing their jobs. But if you've ever run into one who acts like they own the airport, now you know why. There's not much accountability, which means, well, they don't have to care. Some TSA rules? Totally reasonable. No one wants actual threats making it onto a plane, but then there are the ones that make you scratch your head. Like confiscating nail clippers, but letting you bring a dozen pens, which are basically tiny stabbing tools. Or forcing you to toss a full-size bottle of shampoo, but somehow 5 mini bottles of the same thing? Totally fine. And don't even get me started on those mystery pat-downs that seem to happen for no clear reason. So what's your take? Are TSA's rules keeping us safe, or just making travel more of a hassle? Ever had a security experience that made zero sense? Drop your best or worst TSA stories in the comments. By now, we all know the airport security drill. Shoes off, laptops in a separate bin, jewelry removed, full body scan while standing in the world's most awkward pose. It's all in the name of safety, right? Well, turns out it doesn't always work. In 2015, undercover Homeland Security agents ran 70 covert security tests at U.S. airports. The result? TSA agents failed 95% of the time, missing weapons, explosives, and other threats in 67 out of 70 cases. One undercover agent even managed to get through with a fake explosive strapped to their back. Not exactly reassuring. Now, you'd think after that kind of wake-up call, things would get better. But in 2017, TSA made headlines again when 11 passengers at JFK Airport strolled right through security. No screening, no bag checks, no agents at the checkpoint. They made it all the way to their flights before anyone even noticed. TSA's solution? They'd screen them when they landed. Solid plan. And if that wasn't enough, that same year, a dozen TSA agents were arrested for allegedly helping smuggle cocaine from Puerto Rico to the US. Just a little something to think about the next time they confiscate your toothpaste for being a security risk. In an era where security screenings can feel a little too personal, you'd think airport employees go through some seriously rigorous background checks. Turns out, not always. Back in the early 2000s, TSA had one job: fill 55,600 screener positions fast. And in the rush, they skipped background checks for 28,000 hires. Later, 1,208 of them were fired for basic ineligibility. We're talking 503 people with prior arrests or convictions, and 85 actual felons. Not exactly the folks you want running airport security. Fast forward to 2015, and things weren't looking much better. That year, the TSA made headlines again for clearing 73 suspected terrorists to work in restricted areas of U.S. airports. Yep, a government agency created in response to a plane-based terror attack accidentally hired potential terrorists for security positions. That's like hiring a fox to guard the henhouse, or a lion to babysit gazelles. And it's not just TSA. That same year, an FBI counterterrorism expert revealed that once aviation workers passed an initial background check, no one bothered to follow up on their criminal history. Even worse, they were allowed to skip airport security screenings entirely. Since then, TSA has tightened the rules, requiring background checks every 2 years and making other security improvements. A little late to the party? Definitely. But hey, better late than never. After everything we've covered, you might be thinking TSA's sole mission is to make airport security as painful as possible. But to be fair, sometimes they do surprise us with an actual sense of humor. Ever checked out their Instagram? It's a goldmine of the weirdest things people actually try to sneak through security. Nunchucks, swords, even a live eagle. Oh, and someone once tried to fly with a frozen turkey, because why not? The truth is, most TSA agents are just regular people doing their jobs. They don't set the rules, they just have to enforce them, all while dealing with impatient travelers who really don't want to take off their shoes. So yeah, while some agents might take their job a little too seriously, not all of them are on a power trip. That said, don't test your luck. Want a smooth security check? Follow the rules, stay calm, and don't be that passenger holding up the line. And if you want more travel tips and airport survival hacks, make sure to subscribe. Safe travels, and I'll see you in the next one.